Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another beautiful tier list here on the Reval Lynx channel. Of course, CWL have another amazing season, finally ourselves over towards the playoffs. Only the top tier teams are left. We won't sadly be doing Division 2 today, only Division 1, but I'm joined by some absolutely handsome fellows. Aurelian, no info. Shiy, Steve, I can't say the other name. And then, of course, me, Zathdos, as your host. How are we doing today, guys? We're doing well?
Yeah, really good.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Doing good.
Anybody got
Mhm.
any teams they're really excited to talk about? First of all,
I'm pretty excited to talk about Excellency, honestly. I have some opinions about that team.
very excited to see. I don't want to hear your opinions yet, but I definitely want to hear them later. What about you, No Info? Any teams you're super hyped about?
um, I'm gonna be talking about I think mCon Academy actually a
Yeah,
lot, and Valkyries. Those are
I
my two.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I got to be really fortunate and commentate mCon from the Benelux League, their main team, because they got to EMEA Masters a little while ago. Of course, very different team, very different players here in the CWL. But Shy, is there any teams out there that you're looking forward to?
Uh, Honestly, I'm looking to forward to like rating two teams, but I don't want to say just now because
Okay.
I think they're top two, but like just those two.
We get a bit of mystery in here. What about you, Steve? Final one. What are we feeling?
I feel like there's a lot of familiar names. Arrakis is back. Chi
Yeah.
Lotus, like Chi has two teams. Excellency, we know people from there. We know the Infernal Wolves teams. We have two teams playing ourselves. mCon Academy with Aurelian here. Like there's quite a few teams we already know. And to be fair, like Tithing Fighters is back with a stronger roster as well. So I'm excited about all these teams returning and the new teams as well. So not any one specific, to be honest.
We've only heard like one of you guys actually say a team you're super hyped and really want to talk about. So we'll go through them one by one. Everybody in Twitch chat as well. If there's any teams you're part of or you super enjoy, make sure to put your messages in. We'll try and respond as much as possible and maybe create a little bit of drama. That's the best part of the CWL for me. Quickly before we get started on the first team, massive shout out, of course, to the CWL community, all you guys at home and just everybody around us. This couldn't be possible without you. Of course, logic behind the scenes isn't with us doing this tier list because we don't want somebody who's too biased on here, but literally won't be possible without him to have any of this available. But getting stuck into this, we should probably start with Arrakis. And I'm wondering if any of you guys have any major opinions about this team, someone who's been in the CWL for so many years now.
Well, I'm not one that has been in the CWL for a long time, but I do have a bit of an opinion on it. It's not that I know the players that well, but I've watched a few of their games and I know a few of them. So I think it's a very bot focused team. I've heard a lot of good things about Konhadzi especially. I think the ADC is really strong, and their top laner seems to be a decent player as well. I don't know much about their mid jungle, but I assume they're pretty good because they went VO, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. This team has been around for quite a while. You were talking about Kanhatsi, somebody I tried to get onto my UKL team a little while back, somebody who's known for a plenty of different picks. One of them you might be seeing come out every once in a while is that Swain AD carry. Can play a few of those OPs, AP carries, even something like, of course, the Cartus jungler, Daniel 2805 Prince, somebody who's known very much for it's hard to say. It's somebody who likes to be aggressive, likes to get stuff going. Or Fluffy Vixen, known for playing champions like that ribbon towards the top side. And for me personally, guys, I think they can easily be in the contenders category. Maybe grand finalists. They've got people who have been in the grand finals before. What do we think about that?
I mean, as someone who played them before in the Rise part of the tournament, I'm not sure if they made changes because I have seen them play with another jungler right now. But from what I've seen in the database, that jungler is not listed, so maybe they just use an emergency sub or something like that. But when we played them, the main focus on their team was exactly the Konhatsi as we praised him before. And the thing is, they're already strong, and I think they made a with the substitute jungler right now. I think they made an upgrade. If the guys stay for a longer time, I think they're definitely grand finalists. And even if the all junglers there, I think either high contenders or grand finalists, like from the get go.
Yeah,
I know
100%.
I actually know they have two subs in the first round, so it will be interesting to see how they perform with the substitutes in, and also further down the line in the bracket, like how well they manage with the scheduling, knowing that, for example, in the next week there's going to be two matches in the upper bracket. So is it going to affect them? Is going to be a question. Like I won't be going as far as throwing them in the lower bracket run based on the fact that they have two subs in the first round, because I think they still can beat the opponent they have in front of them. But for me as well, like contender seems fair for them, especially.
I think it's definitely fair for now. I think side of the bracket they are on is also pretty favorable to them because they're not on the side of different strong teams that are also present, right? So they can definitely make upper bracket finals pretty easily, I would say.
I feel like we're all very much unanimously saying they're at least contenders here. There is a very interesting point you mentioned, though, about these two players who haven't played for them really before coming in at these playoff times. You're meant to be as strong as possible, meant to be at the best performance you could be at. And with two new players, you can't really do that. So maybe they have to go down to the lower bracket, but they still have, of course, that safety net of that where they can lose a couple games and still be able to get through. So I think contenders can be the right place if these people could fit in perfectly. Grand finalists, maybe they have plenty of talent that deserves to be there in the contenders. But of course, plenty of more teams to talk about coming up for the next one. Does anybody know what this logo is?
Triple B.
Triple B. Do you know much
It's
about them?
a little bit. Lynx Royal played them in Rise, one of our teams. Well, the thing with them is they have really good champion pools, and they basically have creative drafts, so they can surprise a lot of the teams. But I think gameplay wise, they weren't really that strong. I feel like their form or like individual skill isn't that high. Uh, I had perhaps higher expectations for them, but seeing how they played against Lynx Royal and also how they played against Chi's team Lotus, I think I would personally put them in low expectations.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I would kind of agree. I think I've played with the players in houses, of course, so I know a bit about them. I think the ADC is a very big mage player, and if he's off the mages, then he looks pretty bad. But on mages, he looks decent. And their mid laner looks very good, but the rest of the team is a bit shaky now and then. The
Yeah.
jungler has a lot of knowledge, but that's uh, doesn't really have the hands, I would say.
See, I love how you guys are so polite about this. You're saying, oh, they're a bit shaky. The guy's old. He doesn't have hands. I know we can't swear on this channel, but I feel like you guys really aren't enjoying this team. And for me personally, if I don't even know, honestly, what your logo is, you can't really be one of the top teams like Iraqis, like Diving Fighters, like mCon, which we'll get later onto. I know these teams, and I haven't really been in the CWL that much this season. So I think we have to slap them all down in lower expectations, lest anybody disagrees with me here.
No, I definitely do agree. They
I
also got into upper bracket through the fact that there were two little teams, I think. So
Yeah.
I would agree here.
Yeah,
I'm happy that there's been no like major fighting yet between the teams of where we think they are. Rack is clearly contenders, this team clearly in lower expectations. Now, a team that we're going on to next, of course, good Chi Lotus, a team that has been in the CWL for a very long time. Their top team, of course, in the UKL Division 1 right now. Had a little bit of a rocky split, but still being able to survive in there. Do we think the Chi Lotus are one of the top contenders? Because once you have that name behind you, they have to be higher than lower bracket run.
I mean, this is a team I was praising before the tournament, right? Even before the Rise stage, and I think a lot of people think they underperformed, right? I mean, Shiy himself is probably not happy with the results. I think they were at least aiming for like 3-1, if not like 3-0. So, but I still think it gave false confidence to the teams around them. I still think like the Chi Lotus core is really strong. I think their top side is pretty good because like Counter has a lot of knowledge coming from. He still plays like UKL, I believe, right? Like Division One, he's in that team.
Division 2.
Um,
Division 2.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Shiy has taken a bit of a tumble in the ranks, but you know he still knows his matchup and his game. And I mean, Point is just a monster, right? Point is, I think he's probably the best mid laner currently for CWL, if not like top 2. That's minimum.
That
Yeah,
is, that's
I
big
do agree.
words, honestly. Big words coming out from you there. If people don't know too much about Point, somebody who has or is 264 LP Masters right now
He
with eight.
he. Sorry to stop. He is DKing right now. To be fair.
No, I mean,
He-
what I was trying to say, you didn't even get me to finish. 56% win rate at that level. Doesn't matter if he was 500, 800 LP before. Getting that with that percentage win rate, you clearly have to be a good player, at least mechanically there.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. I think Point is a really good player. I haven't played against him in mid lane, but I've had him on my team in houses.
So you
He's
very
very good.
much said, hey, he's on my team. I cannot deal with him.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Now, the benefit is with how high tier CWL is, we get to talk about the lower divisions of the UKL, maybe seeing opportunities for these teams to slightly rise up. And when you're in a team like a Chi, you have that very progressive path of CWL, Division 2 UKL, about the same level. And if you're lucky enough, get on that main team, could really start showing up, and you're only one division away from getting to Los Ratones and teams like that. So, very exciting times here in the CWL. Now, the question comes down to we talked about how incredible Point is. I completely agree with everybody on the board here. Are they contenders or would you put them in grand finalists?
I have a take here, bro. Oli.
Okay.
I initially wanted to put them dark horse, and then I found another team that I replaced them with. I'll get to that later. But for me, Lotus is an interesting team because when we started before Rise, like ourselves, we put the roster together, we scrimmed them, we lost 2-0, and similarly to No Info, we thought it's going to be a really strong team, Lotus. And now looking at the results, looking at the form, so looking at solo queue, looking at how the meta has shaped, I still think they're a really strong team. But for me, personally, I would put them contenders, and then seeing how they do in a few matches, that would decide if I expect them to go to the finals or if they might stumble against one of the teams because, for example, losing to Arakis and losing to Vitagen, like Vitagen, I don't think is that strong of a team. So if they can drop games or even a series to teams like that, then I still need some proof that they can go all the way this split.
You're giving us spoilers for other teams, man. Can't say it about how Vitagen is doing. But the question I have for you, Steve, then
It's
is you
not a,
talk.
it's not a spoiler though. It's a result from Rise, not Defy.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, the question comes down to, Steve, would you put them above Arrakis on contenders? Because remember, we talked about Arrakis before, thinking that this team has two new players coming in, few things again shaken about. Is good Chi Lotus because they haven't changed things about? Do you think they're above them?
Tough to say. If it was like original Arrakis with the starting roster, I would put Lotus below. With Arrakis struggling potentially with scheduling and substitutes, I would maybe put Lotus ahead. So it's close though.
Yeah, super close. Guys, does anybody have any other opinions? Are we happy with putting them in contenders and we can shake it
Uh,
about later?
I think putting them in contenders below Arrakis for now is a good position for them.
Yeah. I
I,
think this team really deserves it. Go on.
I'm like personally, I think they have a really rough bracket because I did like my own the whole bracket run, like I said before the stream, and I did put them in contenders in the tier list. But I'm looking at the potential matchups they're gonna have to go against. they're gonna have to go against Royal. They're gonna have to go against mCon Academy probably, and they're gonna have to face either Reval, Arrakis, or Fenrir, and all of those teams are really good. So if Chi Lotus actually wants to get anywhere in this tournament, they need to be locked in week 1, game 1, or they're just gonna go duo.
Yeah, it is really difficult. You need to be there straight away in these playoffs. If you get towards the lower bracket, there's no other chances. A few losses there, and you are just out of this tournament. So I think so far there hasn't really been any questions about who are the top teams, who are the bottom teams. But one that might shake it up a little bit more is our next team. We got Divernex Rising. I'm not sure if I butchered your name. I do apologize if so. But how do we feel about this team? A team that I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, I do not know too much of them, but I did check their OPWGs. I think based on their OPWGs, I don't think this team is gonna do all that well.
Okay, so the question then comes down to you're saying that the team doesn't look like going to do that great. They've got 3 Masters, an Emerald in there, and a Diamond too. But for them to get to this position with an Emerald 3 means that they must have some really good teamwork. So, looking at this roster, what would you say, Aurelian, is their chance of winning it? What player needs to step up to give them an opportunity?
Um, I did not really research them too extensively. I have more research on other teams, but I think probably the Emerald player, what's his name? If he can make a good showing, then I think their roster can definitely be very
Well,
good.
I will defend you here a little bit. We have a little bit of a spreadsheet behind the scenes looking at all of these players. We can go into detail for you. I tried to go into their op.gg's and it just shows up, couldn't be found. So either they are massively elusive or we accidentally got given the wrong ones. So I'm not going to be able to go into too much detail for them. I honestly believe that this team, uh, you can't call them a dark horse because they haven't really beaten any of our major teams like Arrakis and good Chi Lotus that we've shown so far. I think we have to put them into low expectations. There's a possibility. Of course, anybody who gets in towards the playoffs can have a played like CFO against Carmine Corp and come up with an incredible victory. It's still very unlikely. So if nobody disagrees, I think low expectations so far.
I think there's something to note here is that the only team that have taken a game off of in Rise is Sparthika, which is not a strong team. And secondly, they play the winner of, the loser of Arrakis and the Triple B team. And the Triple B team they lost to in Rise 0-2. So for me, it's low expectations. I don't really expect them to make a lower bracket run either.
Do you want to put them down in Division Two with what you're saying here?
No.
Expectations are rock bottom, apparently.
Yeah,
But
not in Division 2, but low expectations for me.
see, that's the problem with you guys. Last time we did this, we had Soyam Scouts to talk absolutely trash on these people. You guys are all so polite and so nice to these players. I'm feeling like I'm having to be the one to maybe stir up a bit of drama. But talking about a team that stirs up things, people who like to maybe dive towers, maybe like a bit of fighting. We do have the diving fighters coming up next. A team that has grown to be one of my favorites, at least personally. With a name like that and with how well they did in the last split, I have pretty decent expectations for them. What about you guys?
I mean, I watched some of their games. I did what like play with some people in houses and whatnot. I think I, I'm I'm looking at the quality of the players, and I think they're really good. I don't know why when I watch them play as a whole five, something is definitely not going as it should for at least in my opinion. I've seen them be re- really struggle sometimes against teams I thought they would win against. I had way higher expectations at the beginning of the rise than after the rise. So I think if they do fix like some macro things of theirs, they could be definitely in like the dark horse. But for now, I do not see them winning against the teams higher. Like for me, it's going to be the one team that is ranked really high. The players are really high quality, but something doesn't work and they will make a long lower bracket run until they meet some powerhouse later on. So I
I,
would put them myself in lower bracket run.
See, the problem is when you have a team called the Dark Horse and then you have lower bracket run as well, I feel like it's the same category because if you have a lower bracket run, you're kind of a dark horse. You keep barely beating the team little by little. And when I'm looking at the Diving Fighters roster, it just feels like the meta hasn't suited them recently. A team with very high caliber players, all Masters Plus, all of them are not having as much success in solo queue, going towards around the D1 to D3 mark. And it's clearly showing that they're just on a little bit of a downward slump. This doesn't mean that they don't have an opportunity here, but they really need to start picking it up. And some teams are very much playoff teams. If they're able to have an intense situation, they'll thrive while others crumble. For me personally, I still think lower bracket run unless anyone here can change my mind.
Yeah, no, I do agree with the lower bracket run. I think they definitely won't be losing against any of the low expectations teams, and I think they will probably win against a lot of the teams we're gonna put in lower bracket run as well. But I don't know if they are real contenders.
Yeah. Now, importantly as well, Kotkos, if there was a possibility of getting up the playoffs and who's going to be playing who, that could be super cool for everybody at home. So we can go a little bit more in depth on towards where we're putting them and why. Because if you have a harder bracket, a lot more difficult. But for now, put Diving Fighters up there in towards lower bracket run. Maybe they could be a dark horse, maybe not. But for now, I definitely think that's the position for them. But going, of course, on towards our next team, Edgewinders. And I have to say, that's a pretty cool logo. Absolutely love how powerful that E looks. Almost very magical. But guys, how do we feel about Edgewinders? A team that is towards the top or towards the bottom? What are we feeling?
Very much bot, I think.
I
Keep
can
it
take
simple.
I can take this one because you just said mCon Academy play talk, right? And they're gonna play them.
Yeah.
I think mCon is gonna absolutely whoop their ass.
Okay.
This is the most fraud team in CWL Rise. And it's not because they're bad or anything, or because I think they're bad. They had the luckiest run I've ever seen. They played against the blue logo guys, whoever is playing
Perfect.
Diving Fighters today, yeah? Uh, it's gonna be 2-0. Diving Fighters gonna clean the favoritism. So that team is not as good, I know. Then you have Mr. Looking for team, also known as Dragon of Fukushima, right? Team who's also like so. They're a bit of a dark horse, but I think still beating them doesn't show anything. And then they beat Excellency when they're duo.
Yeah.
I could make a team with my little brother and we probably beat Excellency.
I
Getting
think that's harsh, but yeah.
no. Scouse is my little brother, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think they got really lucky with the run, and I think they're gonna have a really hard time because they're like, oh, we're like went 3-0. This league is so easy, and then they're gonna play against actual opponents, and then they're gonna be like, holy.
Wow. Next thing you're going to say is that Los Pipos, when we played, we weren't actual opponents.
I'm lagging.
No, you
Can
were
somebody
really
take
good.
over?
Okay, all right, guys, we'll move on from that one very swiftly. One thing that was very funny behind the scenes, of course, Lost People's very close to Lost Ritones. The logo was a little close. We actually saw Casual react towards it on stream. I've never seen Logic so scared. He's like, no, it was a joke, guys, please, sorry, I didn't mean it. So Lost Peoples might be having a rebrand for next season, hopefully. To love's God, I don't have to play next time. We had bronzes, with diamonds, with masters. It was an absolute mess. We got dominated. But no, I agree with you guys. Low expectations for this team. Maybe they can be higher than expected. Who knows? But for us,
I would personally maybe put them in lower bracket run. I think their bot lane is pretty
okay.
solid, and their mid laner seems to be performing on control mages a lot. But their top side seems a bit weak. But I think I can see them winning against a lot of low expectations teams, definitely. And I think they win
So
obviously against a few other teams.
we can
lower
put
rank
them
one.
at the top of low expectations. The one question I have to ask, no, not up there, still down below. The question is, can Edge Winders beat Diving Fighters in your opinion, Aurelian?
I think they definitely have a shot against them. Because
Does
I don't.
everybody agree?
I do agree with what Aurelian is saying. I think I do agree with no info as well. I think the 3-0 is not the uh it's not their real 3-0. I think their bracket was really easy compared to other teams. Uh, but I do think their bot lane alone is good enough to win against farmers. So I think the lower bracket run is more likely than low expectations. I don't see them losing to BBB or Divernex.
I
I,
absolutely. Sorry, go on.
it, no, you can go. But what actually, I just wanted to say, like, I do see them winning against DF, but I'd put DF as favorites over them.
Just to me, it's incredible how we've had no info come in and say, I'm going to say your word slightly differently. They're absolutely trash. How the hell did they get here? They're the luckiest people I've ever met to. I think they can go lower bracket run. They can probably beat other teams. They seem pretty okay. It's like we're on two different spectrums here. So for now, I think we could all find a middle ground here. The bottom of lowest bracket run or lower bracket run, and then we could see if any other teams are going to be going against them next. Now, a team coming up, which I believe one of you was a little bit more excited to talk about,
Yeah.
Excellency.
Yeah, I have a big opinion about this team because I think this team had a mid lane swap. They swapped their mid laner mid like split, mid rise split. They swapped out PG24 for Foles, and I think Foles is a really good player, but I think you could almost see it immediately in how they played. They just played way worse than they did with their previous mid laner, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the mid jungle synergy, but they've been looking a lot worse without their previous mid laner. And I think their jungler Rising is probably one of the better junglers in the league. This guy's insane at the game. I have nothing but good words for him. But I think there's just something wrong with the mid jungle duo, which is a very big hit to that team because I think that
It's
was the main thing that was good for them.
It really is difficult, isn't it? Because you have such incredible players. Like you talk about this jungler being one of the best in the league. There's a big possibility of maybe going towards higher ends, maybe getting themselves in towards a national league. But the mid laner isn't a bad player, clearly, being able to get to Masters Plus, somebody who has competed well in different teams. But sometimes just if somebody wants to hard invade and somebody just wants to farm towards late game, it doesn't have that synergy. So, guys, importantly, we know that Excellency isn't as excellent as we may have thought, first of all. I don't believe they deserve to be in lower expectations. I think they need to be slightly higher, but where should we place them?
I mean, we can't place them above Edgewonders, obviously, because Edgewonders two of them quite convincingly.
Do you think they're
Um,
lower expectations then? Do you think I'm
no,
completely
I
wrong?
think we should put them in lower bracket run, but I think they should be below Edgewonders.
This Edgewinders team is like going in my head from absolute trash to kind of solid and now to kind of good. They're slowly creeping up against teams they're going against. So, guys, how do we feel the bottom of lower bracket run slightly behind Edgewinders?
I'll
Yeah.
chip in here though. Sorry, no, I know you want to say
Go ahead,
something
go
as
ahead.
well, but I had a point about it because at first, looking at Excellency, I thought they could make a lower bracket run. First of all, I don't think they can beat Fenrir, so they're going to drop down to the lower bracket. And looking at the lower bracket, the matchups they will have is Team Hedgehog, which is former Steamy Boys players, at least some of them. And then after that, they don't have any easy matchups either. So I don't actually think they're going to make a lower bracket run simply based on the teams they're going to face. Otherwise, like it's between lower bracket run and low expectations for me, but I'm leaning towards low expectations simply due to the teams they will face.
But does that that's difficult because the way that we've done this tier list, it kind of matters, doesn't it? Because a team can be slightly worse, but deserve to be in lower bracket run just because of the opponents. Let's say we're going to Worlds, we're against maybe the Vietnamese team, the second seed of LEC or third seed. No offense, LEC, I love you. Compared to if you're going top seed of China, top seed of Korea, you're not getting through there. So, do you think because of that they deserve to be lower expectation, guys? Because we can put them at the top of it.
Either top low expectations or bottom lower bracket run. Like I think both are fair.
I think because they got 2-0 by Edgewinders, we will put them at the bottom of lower expectations. And to be honest, being lower expectations puts pressure off yourself, gives yourselves an opportunity to come back a little bit stronger. And talking about different teams, what even is that logo? Is that just a guy on the moon sitting back with ChatGPT in his face?
That's good chilling.
He's
Good
chilling.
chilling. Yeah, he does look chilling now. I'm a bit scared. Whenever I was in school, when I was in that pose, the teacher always had told me I was going to crack open my head. So a little bit dangerous there. But how do we feel about this dangerous team?
I mean, this is one of the teams I mentioned, right? I'm gonna have I have a
Have your monologue.
I have a pretty strong opinion when it comes to these guys. So I heard that Gucci initially put out a roster for CWL that was kind of with the old regulation, so they had above the 1,400 cap. And then I think what they did, they took the 700 LP mid lane, 700 LP ADC, and just took some Emerald players with them. Because the only reason Good Chilling has any wins is their mid and ADC. The rest of the players are absolutely dog water, and they could pretty much just play 2v8, and I think the score would still be the same.
Yeah, could make sense. So, do you think highly of this team, point blank,
Wait, who?
or of the team you're talking about? Do you think good chi, well, good chilling, I guess. Do you think they're above lower bracket run then?
Um, I mean, I lost a lot of crap, but when I was looking at where they're initially gonna end up, because they're gonna, if they lose, they're gonna go against Excellency. They're gonna beat Excellency, I think. But then after that, they might get like Diving Fighters or some other like kind of good team in the lower bracket. So for me, they're pretty much a lower bracket team, but somewhere in the middle, because I'm not
Do you,
like expecting much from them.
do you think they can beat Diving Fighters?
No, I actually have them losing even before.
Damn. So,
Because,
are
go
they?
ahead.
Do they even deserve to be in lower bracket run then? In your head?
No, they're good. Like they're gonna struggle because, like I said, if you shut down their mid and you shut down their ADC, the rest of the players have no impact. I literally went through their match history and I wanted to make sure I was not talking gibberish. Their mid laner is constantly 10-0, their ADC is 13-3, and the rest of the guys are just feeding.
Yeah.
If you manage to shut down, maybe like shut down mid, take prio from mid, and don't let the ADC play, they're not gonna win anyone.
Now,
So, yeah.
I want to defend this team a little bit. One of their players is actually a caster as well, somebody who owes, of course, the good Chi brand themselves. When I look a little bit deeper into this, they have Savonix. If people don't know who he is, the manager and the owner that I talked about before, but more importantly, he's played in Division 1 UKL. He's had a very successful split there. Flay today, a very prominent dress player here in the CWL. And I'm going to stab my foot down. If you have Savonix and you have Flay today on your team, you are lower bracket run. I've never seen two players where once it gets towards the harder part of the split, they step up.
The problem is Solonix is not playing.
Is he not? Oh,
No.
everything I said, scrap it.
He's a placeholder.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was. I don't know what happened, but I was talking with him, and I think the plan was for him to play, but in right now they're playing with the other jungler, Trinzy.
It's hard, isn't it? Because when you have so many things on your plate, you can't really blame Sabonix when you have to take care of good Chi Lotus, take care of this team, and then support everyone else. No wonder they're called Good Chi Chilling, because it is just a more friendship based team. So, because of that, without Savonix being there, I think top. I want to put them into lower bracket runs, then we have 3 in each, unless anyone disagrees.
Yeah, I can agree with this.
Lower bracket run is fair, I think.
Yep. I mean, if Savonix comes in, I'll bump them up towards the top. Love you, my man. But
To be fair,
now,
do we even think, like, I love Savanix, but isn't Svenzo just in a better form? Because I know Savanix doesn't play that much. Like, even if he played, would he actually be an upgrade in that instance?
I would say
Nope.
only yes because of the amount of experience he has in higher competitive tier leagues. That's the only reason. If you're talking about mechanical skill, yeah, I think he will not not get absolutely dumpstered, but he would get outplayed in the gameplays because there's other things to focus about. It's only the extra little bit of knowledge you have. It's a bit like KC at first stand right now. No spoilers here, but not having the best time. Maybe had a decent game later on. It's because the coaching staff isn't ready yet. And maybe that's what's happening over there. So, unless anybody has anything else to say, we're ready to move on to the three wolves, I like to call them, these teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. First team, we've got, of course, the fire one, I like to call it. A bit like
Berserkers.
Pokemon, you know? Your three different starters, said before, Berserkers. How do we feel about them?
I think this is probably, looking at results, I think this is either the weakest or the second weakest Berserker for the Wolves team, but I'm gonna put them weakest. I think the only reason they've been winning games is their jungler. I don't think the other players on the team are that good.
I do agree with Aurelian. I think theoretically they have a better score and had a better showing than Valkyries, but I think right now Valkyries made some changes. I think in Valkyries you can look for multiple people. Like you can look at God of Hex, right? He historically has a really good performances. Like he can get you a game and like win it if he gets ahead. You have Shipex of one of the like really high, really good legacy players. Like he can carry you games. We have Tab swap into mid lane. We don't know yet. I don't think we have seen him play mid lane, but like you have like the really good players that can carry you games, and then you look at Berserk and they only like Erubin is really good, really good. But like I'm looking at other players, and I'm not sure if I can find another player who can get them the wins. I think the problem is if you can find a way to shut down Aerobin and don't allow them to 1v9 the game, it's
Well,
really tough for them to
I
get
have
a
one
W.
question. Is Lux available in the mid lane for Crown and Light?
If enemy team is human in draft prep, then not.
Because if that's open, I think they have a pretty solid chance. The thing is, when I look on paper and I saw all of these names like Skeleton, a tank top player, Erebin, a very aggressive jungler, Crown in Light, of supportive AP mid laner, very good at those range champions like Lux and Zeraf. Scrubbex, a very solid ADC, a player that's been around for a long time, as you guys all know. And even Muffin in the bot lane. These are all, in my head, CWL veterans, people who deserve to be on a contenders team. And it's sad to see that this team hasn't worked out like we wanted to. But in my head, they have to be at least a dark horse.
Mm, I would disagree. I think I would put other teams in dark horse over this team.
Think so?
I think I would put this team below good chilling in lower bracket run.
Damn, they've fallen that far, even with those big of names.
I personally watched them play. Um, I mean, one of the reasons is like, well, I think they're pretty low. Unironically, I think they're gonna be knocked out by Valkyries in the lower bracket because I think, as Shai said, there is a big difference between Scrubbex last split when I think he beat us in the playoffs, and he was the first one we lost to because I believe he played in the team that we lost to. He's pretty much a Jinx merchant, and
Yeah.
Jinx will struggle when it comes back to the 2v2 lanes because you can't just lane swap away. And Muffin had one of the worst performances of any support in CWL Rise. The game against Excellency, he looked really off. And I think, as Shai said, they're gonna run into champion pool issues. You just gotta take the Jinx Lux away. Just keep wards on a Rubin, and I don't see Berserkers making a long run in the
Guys, you're
Rise
making me
stage.
depressed. You're making me depressed. I like these players. You're telling me that they're not going to be working out? Can I at least say one thing? They're going to get steamy boys in their first game. Then, of course, afterwards, they will be going against a little bit fiercer competition of either Paragon or Diving Fighters. Do they deserve to be put in lower bracket run against those teams? I genuinely think that minimum they have to be lower bracket run, just with the names alone. I don't care. They've had a bad split. at least for my mental health, knowing how good they can be. I feel like they deserve to be there unless anyone disagrees.
They're
Yeah,
going
I
against
agree.
Hyper Sena, by the way, because Timmy Boys did not come after the rule change. So no, I think even before they're going against Hyper Sena, the graphic is actually incorrect. One that you're looking at.
Yep.
No, I think isn't it? Oh yeah, no, they are actually. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna lose there. I think it might be close if Rubin steps up a lot, but I think they're gonna lose to Hyper Sena.
Oh, are you putting them in lower expectations?
No,
If
lower
if
bracket run is fine.
okay, if most people agree with it, I will allow it. I'm just going to politely post on Twitter that you're all wrong.
Okay.
I mean, I have to disagree. I think they will win against Hyper Xena
That's
or
what I'm
whatever
talking
the team
about.
name is, but I don't think they will win another game.
Yeah, okay, I'll
So I
allow
think
that.
I don't know if it qualifies for lower bracket run. It's not a long one, but
I mean, they got into the bracket at least. You know, at least that's something. Bottom of lower bracket run, guys. Okay, I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Now going on to, of course, another team from Infernal Wolves. It will be, of course, Fenrir. Please say at least we're feeling more positive about this team.
I
I
mean,
think Fenrir is really good.
Okay, good. All right, at least I
Probably a grand finalist in my opinion. They are looking very strong. They're beating every
Yeah.
team they're against really convincingly.
If you're going to put anyone in grand finalist, that's probably the first team that should be there. They have been looking convincing.
Yeah, I can give everybody the names. We've got Luke Bingo, Master PBO, Scopes, JDG, Not Sandwich, and Waiters. A lot of these players seem quite new to me, if I'm not wrong. I don't really have much knowledge on them except for maybe Luke Bingo and Scopes.
not isn't not Sandwich also. I don't know if he played CWL before
I think I've heard the
because I
name
didn't
before.
follow,
He's
but
not veterans, is
it's
he?
maybe you know him as Pim. I don't know,
Think so.
but I think he played UKEL before.
Yeah.
I played with him a couple times. I don't know him very well, but I have been like in several voice channels throughout the last 2 years with him. Like let's maybe not 2 years, but like the last year, let's say. Wherever I've been hanging out in voice channels, playing with people, he was also there. I've had some experience with him, and I think he's really, really, really good. I think he's
And
one of the high, like the how do we call it? I think you could call him the engine of the team. I think if he will underperform, the team could underperform. But as they're playing right now, I think they're definitely grand finalists.
yeah, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. Guys, I just looked at Scopes OP.GG. He's like 700 LP. Absolutely incredible to see. This team is a D4 support. Oh, sorry, D1, I think. And then they have like 600 LP. You're telling me the support's one of the best players. I don't know what's going on with this team. The team's goddamn good. We can all agree with that. They're going to be up in towards that top tier. Now, of course, going to the last Infernal Wolves team out of these three, it will be the Valkyries. Can we class them as middle of the pack?
Yep, I think so. I think they look very shaky in Rise, but I think they can definitely do better than they did.
When am I getting my dark horse? Is this one of them?
I have
Mm,
them as dark horse, uh, simply because I know the roster changes that they made. They have a very experienced jungler. He was actually top 50 player in EU West at one point, like 2 splits ago or 3 splits ago. So has a lot of competitive experience, and I think it's gonna shape out the same way as it did last split, when Chipex was playing ADC and they had Ace in the jungle, who's also really like knowledgeable about the game. And since like Chipex is going back to the AD role, I always think Chipex needs a jungle who helps him get to the mid to late game, because Chipex likes these like Seri and Jinx and all these kind of hyper carries. And I think the new jungler is just gonna do it. My only concern is their support, because they currently have the team owner filling in, and if they don't find a good support, I feel like that might be their how do you call it, like stepping stone, or the thing that's gonna stop them.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a chance for them to step over the rook and be completely fine, or just absolutely full smack on their face. I think dark horse for me, it has to be when you have a franchise player. I mean, the CWL franchise player, Shipex, it's illegal for us not to put them minimum in the dark horse category. For me personally, I will be a little bit biased. God of Hack, somebody I worked with in Good Chi. When we tried to get towards in towards Division 2, an absolutely incredible top laner, massive hype for him. But you were talking about this jungler, somebody who is top 50 challenger, somebody who was there a couple splits ago. I I don't think we can fight them being not in Dark Horse at least.
I think the only argument for being the in Dark Horse instead of higher after the changes is because of the support, and
Yeah.
I think even I think with this roster you can get over that. I think you have strong enough jungle AD and soul laners competent enough to like get around having a lower ranked player in a support role.
The benefit is if you have a jungler that is so experienced, as we said before, and you have Shipex, somebody who's been CWL for a long time, you kind of can get supported, ironically, in the support role to actually be okay. So let's put them in Dark Horse. Let's get over towards our next team. Lobster Arcadia. Absolutely love the logo. Looks proper professional, honestly. How do we feel about this team?
Maybe I'll start since I think we are the only team out of the ones we have in the voice channel that played them. That was our first game. Uh, I'm fairly sure they are they made. I don't know if they made changes actually. I can't remember the roster, but if they didn't, then I don't think they made changes actually. Not that I'm looking at it. And as far as I remember, they didn't perform well against us, and they went on a 0-3 I think run or 1-3. I think they're on the lower side of the playoffs bracket. Maybe they can get some games, but I don't know who they have to face coming down from the upper bracket for them to win an entire BO3 and go further uh, into the run, right? Into the bracket.
They would go against either Parthica or Dying Fighters, um, so they could maybe get a win against Parthica.
Yeah.
But I think it's looking rough for them. Yeah, I would put them in low expectations, definitely.
I think the thing is, I don't rate Parthica too high, and I still don't. I think Lobster could win against them, but like just me not having like oh yeah, they definitely win against them, like the 100% win and go further. That just makes me think they're low expectations already from that.
Damn.
Just that.
You're basically calling them trash. I get it. All right. Put them down in low expectations. Let's see if they can do something. I can't wait for the times for these teams to come back. Say, hey, Zath, you're completely wrong. We are clearly grand finalists. That's the time I'm waiting for because I will happily have that Twitter hate thread towards me. Don't think anybody's going to disagree with the load stars over there. Next team. Come on, guys. We're on the Reval Lynx channel. Let's talk about Lynx Royal.
What's the expectations, Shiy? What do you think?
I mean, we are playing them tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, tomorrow. We're playing against them in the first run, and I'm fairly confident we beat them, but I don't think I'm fairly sure. Okay, can someone correct me? If even if we let's say if we win against Lynx, do they have like a free round afterwards?
Um,
In
they
Yeah,
would go against. Yeah, they would have a free round, I think.
Yeah,
so
they do
like
have a free route. They will be going down to lower bracket. So honestly, they could minimum be in lower bracket run, right?
yeah, I mean, at this point, but I think they are higher than that. I think they're definitely dark horse. I think Memsu, or I think that's how you pronounce the name, the jungler, is I think he's the highest ranked jungler right now in the CWL.
Yep.
Uh, I think he played in Polish tournament, the split as well. Do you guys?
Yeah, he has played some Polish qualifiers.
Yeah, I think I saw a few games. I think he's qualified enough to like definitely make it back to the sorry, make it with his team to like top six. The problem for me is I'm looking at the rest of the team, and I I think it's entirely up to like two players in the roster to make it further because I'm not saying the rest of the players are bad. I think they're really good players, but I think most of them are like they get a task and they do it right, but it's not like they will get you get you the W's. They're the ones that help you get the W's, but not they won't get you. Like if you stop the ones like the carries, the other three players won't be like strong enough to confirm a win. So if the two players, which I think is jungle and wait, was it mid lane or okay, I lost my notes. Oh yeah, mid lane. I think the mid lane is the other player. I think if jungle mid performs really well, then I think they can get some really good games against the higher ranked teams.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. I think Dark Horse would be the right place for this team. Of course, being channel win won't be biased to put them in the grand finals. Does everybody agree with Dark Horse, or does anyone have anything else?
I can
I
agree with it.
ah,
Come on.
it's like it hurts me to say this, but like lower bracket run, I feel like it's the. Of course, I have a lot more information about them. I know these people, each one of them. And even if I just look at the OPGGs and I think of the meta and I think like the way they play the game and the way they kind of like talk about the game just doesn't really scream we're gonna win for me. Like because I think that Shai
They don't
said
have
it.
the winner's attitude. That's what you're saying.
No, I don't think. I just don't think they have the firepower for it.
That is interesting. How do we feel about top of lower bracket run? We'll leave Dark Horse as a very small category then.
I could agree with that. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't go as far into oh yeah, if they lose to us and then they get a bye, then I didn't go to like who did they play next. I just rate the teams how strong I think they are compared to other teams that will let's say like in my assumption right I played against them they lose and I compare them to the other teams that lost in the first round and play lower bracket. So I don't know who they will play later on in the split exactly, but I can agree to lower bracket run if the opponents are tougher than I expect them to be.
Yeah, they'll be going against Chi Lotus, a contenders team. We'll put them at the top of lower bracket run. Honestly, probably should lose towards them. Now, going on towards our next team. Do we need to really talk about mCon, honestly? Do we just want to put them into grand finalists and move on?
I I wouldn't do that. But yeah,
Where's the
Where do you
confidence,
think they
man?
should be?
I mean, I'm a player for mCon myself, right? So I know a bit of the insight. I think in Rise we struggled a lot. We had a few issues, but we worked on those. So I think we're looking a lot stronger for Defy. And I think our first test is tomorrow against Edgewinders, obviously. I think if we can make a good showing for ourselves, we can definitely show what we've improved on, right? But there were issues before, so I wouldn't I wouldn't put us in grand finalists.
I remember taking a dig at mCon Academy in one of the early tier list channels. I don't remember which one of your players
I think it was
res-
Lars. Yeah,
yeah,
my support.
responded to me not reading my post because I always write really long messages, and I was like, okay, that's possibly why you're not performing in Rise. But it was in good spirit. But mCon for me, as you said, I still have confidence in you guys improving over the course of the split. I still think you have good players, you have a good organization behind it. I think for me, like mCon could be one of the dark horses because even though Rise performance wasn't that good, I think that the first series against Edgewinders especially is going to determine a lot of how Defy is going to work out for you? Like, are you going to win the first round, and are you going to make an upper bracket run? Do you have chances to beat the contenders, or if you lose the first match, how it's going to work out, and what are the opponents going to be in the lower bracket, and how many can you beat from there? For me, another dark horse actually, or uh, because I don't really know how it's going to work out. So depending on the first match, for me, another dark horse in my opinion.
Yeah. Seems like everybody's pretty much in agreement for Dark Horse, unless anyone has anything else to say on it.
I I like that because in my imaginary bracket run, they pretty much make it to lower bracket finals.
Okay.
So
Do you want me to say why I put them in grand finalist? They did beat Los Pipos dominantly, and it still hurts me to this day how hard Aurelian your team kind of destroyed us. That's
yeah,
all
and
right. Well,
he doesn't even say sorry. Wow.
no, it's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
It's
I'm
not like
sorry.
I
I'm
want
sorry.
a conversation about it.
It,
Fine.
it wasn't me, to be honest. It was mostly my
It will
ADC.
be sure humble as ever. I don't care, honestly. Team Los Pipos will come back next season even stronger. But coming in towards the next team, is this Observant Force or Observant Force AC? I've got two different
It's
teams here.
it's AC. It's AC.
It's AC. Okay. All right. Nice green logo. Loving it. Opinions?
I mean, surprisingly, even though they're called Academy, I think they are more competent as a players than the main roster was. I think they're more complete. They have a long way until they're really anywhere above low expectations, but it's nice to see them back. It's some like UNE representatives, if I'm correct. Like
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you can't really say they will go like into like a long lower bracket run. I think they're mostly like one, maybe two games in. Sorry, two series maybe. Who do they play in the first?
They're gonna play against us or Shipex. I don't think they're
Okay,
making
then
more
then
than
I
one.
think yeah they just play one. But I just want to give them credit. I think they're like they for the ranks they have, and the fact that they're like coming from UNE and I don't think they're like veterans. There's like one. I don't think they're like play. They don't. I don't think they played like too many tournaments beforehand. Uh, I think they did a pretty good showing for what they have, and yeah, still
We can say they progressed well through Rise and did quite well for
yeah,
themselves, but I still think they should go low expectations, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think low expectations make sense. It needs to be sort of like a triangle pyramid up towards the top. Mostly have like one team, maybe two teams to grand finalists. So it makes sense, keeping this tier list as even as possible going through. Now, of course, towards our next team, we got Parthica, a very Greek style, maybe Roman-esque logo, very dark blue on it. How do we feel about this team?
I knew only one player on their roster, and I think they replaced that player for Defy. So I have no clue how they are, but I don't think they're gonna be any good. Uh, anyway, so I would put them low expectations every time.
Yeah, does
Yeah,
anybody know any information on them?
I mean, they will play against either us or Ring Soyal after our BO3 tomorrow, and I think both teams will just beat them without any. Uh, Sorry, wait, no, wait, sorry. I'm dumb. No. But I remember I was even talking about them playing. No, they're playing Lobster, I think.
Yeah.
They're playing Lobster. Yeah, sorry. Uh, I don't think they're beating Lobster. I can see them maybe winning it somehow, but like that's the most they can get probably. Like the later on the bracket, I think they'll just get beaten by the other teams. I think they also got like I think they got like a buy round in the Rise,
Yeah,
so
this
they
this
end
team
up
was
with the
Emerald.
higher.
Full
Yeah,
Emerald roster. I believe they
yeah.
have two diamonds on that actually. Okay, sorry, they have one diamond, the rest of the team is emerald, then they have
Yeah.
one masters as well. So to be honest, it's a huge achievement to even get here against such higher competition. So I think low expectations is where we should put them. But honestly, they should be really proud to be in Division One and go against other teams like here and get off in towards these playoffs. Cough cough beating Lost Peoples. They didn't beat us, but they're definitely better than us. Going in towards our next team. Team coming up with that logo is just waiting for it to load. Give me 2 secs. Where's the logo? I can't
It's
see it.
BTS Hyperzena.
See, this is why you have to be the one leading this. Hyperzena, how are we feeling?
I have some news about this team, which is
Okay,
interesting. There's an Estonian player in the team.
let's go.
The mid
Um,
laner.
the mid laner. He was originally gonna be our mid laner, but then we had some other ideas, and then we went with Varisar, our current mid laner, and we gave him like the option, oh, if you wanna look around, you can do that, right? And then I think he messaged me like 2 weeks ago or something, like see you in CWL, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I didn't see his name for a long time. And then today I saw like the roster report, and he's actually playing for the team. And I heard him talk about the team a bit, and this is like a really dark horse contender lower bracket run team, because I feel like they could be anywhere because they're really good.
You know, I was originally going to put them in Dark Horse. There's a few things that stand out to me with that team. First, both of their solo laners have peaked around 400 or 500 LP recently. So basically, in CWL, you don't have a lot of strong solo laners. Mostly teams play to team fight, and having two strong solo laners is going to be an advantage to them, especially when you can get either solo kills or if you can play side lanes. And looking at other players on the team, looking at the jungler, the meta seems to suit him fairly well. Maybe the ADC has uh, fallen off of Corki a little bit, but even the next ADCs he plays are fairly good in the meta. So I wouldn't put them as high as contenders, but I still believe they're somewhere between like lower bracket run and dark horse, depending on the opponents they get and how well they can synergize. Because coming together, like a lot of their players don't have experience. They just made roster changes, so they're not going to have a lot of synergy. But they do have like meta. They have pretty decent form, and even usually what I look at in terms of like weaknesses and how it fits into leagues meta game. I don't think they have as many weaknesses as some other one-dimensional teams, and I think the solo lane strengths might actually play to their benefit.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a team that relies on having good solo laners. Looking at their OP.GGs, and I've played with their top laner a bit in houses. I think they're definitely good players there, so they could definitely be a dark horse, or at least at the top of lower bracket run next to Leagues Royal.
Yeah, I can see that from this team. I feel like this team perfectly encapsulates what a dark horse should be, right? A team that we honestly don't know if they're going to absolutely fall off a cliff because it just wasn't their day, or if they're going to be at the highest highs and maybe beat a contenders team like Arrakis or Good Chi. So dark horse, I think, is the right place to be for them. Going on, of course, towards our next team, Reval Lynx. On the Reval Lynx channel, I feel like all you guys must have a really solid opinion on these.
I'll wait for your guys' opinions and then I'll give mine last.
Yeah, probably bottom of low expectations, personally.
I've played with the top laner in in-houses. He's a very solid player. I don't think he loses lane often. Their jungler seems very good. Um, I don't know about their mid laner. I think it was Warizar. He plays support on Zopi.gg. I've played with him in houses once, I think. It, he didn't look too great, so I think he might be a bit of a weakness, but I could be wrong here. And the ADC is just completely insane. I think their ADC is like out of like I think he's Grandmaster right now. He looked very good.
I mean, they they have a very really strong top lane, really strong AD carry. Like historically, you have Yasa or 741, I think was his nickname now in the jungle. Like he has been historically also like really good. I don't think he has reached like higher ranks lately, but like you always like when you mention Yasa in like tier lists, you always want to put him higher, despite his him not like being masters. You put him among master players. Like he does a competent player. I think their main issue is their support is in depths of Emerald right now, and yeah, if they can get around that and boost the noob from the support, then they can definitely I can definitely see them grand finalists or at least contenders.
Yeah, for me, I think the support is solid. I just think the mid laner might be the issue, but I could be wrong on that. I think they can definitely be either contenders or grand finalists.
Okay, but did you see the supports OPGG?
Yeah.
No info. Did you see the supports OPGG?
I think that guy must be like the DMAs must be insane. He seems absolutely talented, and I think he might be even better than the ADC. But I think the OPGG might be bugged or something. So I think we can skip the support. It doesn't matter anyways, right?
Papa. I don't know, but like I think they're definitely like among top 4, top 5 teams in the, and I think they're on the higher side. Like normally when you have a strong AD, then normally you would expect the team to have a weak top, and vice versa, right? When you have good top, you expect the team to like usually have a weak side bot. In this case, you have both lanes that can go weak side, but at the same time, if you put them on strong side, like Duels can, I think he's like definitely top 3 top laners this in this league, and like AD carries like really cracked. I think you have like 3 players in the team that you can definitely play around, and they're also competent enough to play around other players. I think the team is just complete, so we can like it's really hard to beat them unless you already have like a higher how to say it, skill floor, let's say, than them.
Okay, now we have to ask the hard hitting question. Forget we're on the Reval Lynx channel. Are they grand finalists? Yes or no?
I think for now we can definitely put them up there next to Fenrir.
I would put contenders because I'm fairly sure I'm fairly sure Fenrir makes finals, but I don't want to put like do we have to like put 2 teams up
Yeah.
there?
Have to
Yeah,
put
we
2
have to put two.
Okay, then sure, then we can put Revel then.
because
I wanted to put like the Revel with the other teams in contenders, and like let's see who reaches the finals because I'm not sure which one will. But like if we have to put someone there, then it's probably Revel.
well, we can always come back to it, right? Always have a good conversation about who we truly think is going to reach the finals at the end, because we get a little bit more of a grasp on the teams when we finally talk about all of them. But going, of course, on towards our next team,
Wait.
IMG.
Before you move on, I'll say my piece because I wanted to rate others to rate the team first before I give my opinion.
Fair
But
enough.
season 8, we had fewer teams and we had a fairly strong showing. We improved over the course of the season, or the split rather, and from the get-go, we basically saw ourselves as favorites. Back then, it was Freak of Legends that Shipex played in, but even back then, in the playoffs, we felt like favorites to win, and we did basically go 5-1 against the team over the course of one best of 3 and one best of 5. And then last split, season 9, I thought that we need to improve a lot over the split to be able to compete for the win. So last time I put us maybe like top 4, top 6. I didn't really rate us that highly last time, and we basically ended up falling out in I think second round of playoffs. I was moving, and we didn't really have the best showing in playoffs last split. But now this split is different for me because I don't actually see many teams taking a serious off of us. I think we can drop games to probably top 4 teams, or maybe top 4 or 5 teams in the league, but I don't think there's many teams that can take a serious off of us. And looking at the teams we have scrimmed, the strength of them, looking at the meta right now, moving away from the lane swap and how linear the macro is, looking at the contenders. Because last time I would have put us contenders, this time I would actually put us finalists and just be bold in that sense. I think there's only really like 2 3 teams that can compete in a series. So
If he said it themselves, I have to agree. Reval Lynx have to stay in the grand finals. Everybody happy with Reval Lynx? Does anybody want to say anything else?
I mean, we can let them be in finalists. I do
For
not want to
now.
get banned from the Discord, so I won't move them.
Okay, I'll move them for
So
you later if needed. Okay, just give me a cheeky
no,
DM,
no,
slip me a 20. We'll talk about it in a bit.
yeah,
But
but I think this is what we have right now. Like the top two is good. So yeah,
yep, seems solid. So let's continue on to one of the last 3 teams we're going to talk about. Or sorry, one of the last teams. We got IMG. How do we feel about this team? Does
I
anybody
think
know
I-
anything?
it's one of the newer teams that nobody really knows much about, but I looked them up. I think they played Phoenix League 2 years ago, and now they play Prime League, a lower division. They have roughly diamond players as well. I couldn't really find any real like games played, but I think they play League actively, and I think in Prime League they had a fairly decent score as well, even though they play in a lower division. So I don't think they can beat the lower bracket run teams, but I think somewhere high, low expectations.
Yeah, I definitely think low expectations is the place for this team. Of course, Phoenix League, a place where I've done a lot of casting. Pretty solid teams come out of there. Got the experience of playing together for a long time. Maybe that gives them a higher opportunity. But for now, definitely think we have to put them in towards lower expectations. And now going over to one of the last 2 teams to talk about. Last but not least, of course, Marzipa. Marzipa?
Mazeppa,
Mazeppa?
Mazeppa, Mazeppa. It's from
Marzipa.
like you have a similar word to Polish. I think in Ukrainian you also have it. The support is Ukrainian, so that's probably where the name comes from. I don't know.
I
Karma
know
is probably in
Marzipan.
chat that
it
cheeky
is
that
a
cheeky
it is
guy.
an abbreviation of 3 words, I think.
Guys, it's so hard, you know. You getting the British man to be the host for this, and then you're giving me
Mazeppa,
words like this.
I
It's
think
impossible.
I think it's make zero panic, but I'm not sure. It's something along those lines.
Well, we'll get that fixed when it's actually on the CWL stream. I wouldn't worry about that. But you guys know the name Bear the Meat. We know stuff about the team.
Yeah, we faced them in Rise actually, and I think this was a pretty unexpected loss for us because we thought on paper we were better, but we just got straight up 2-0'd. Pretty unfortunately, I think we definitely dropped the ball on those 2 games. We played like absolute shit. I think they're really good as a team. They play together as a team very well, but their individual skill level is not that high, I would say.
I mean, from my perspective, in my I did some imaginations, let's say. I unfortunately am really stupid, so I closed my notes. I had a I had an idea of how the bracket would run, and but I do remember their placement now. I think I put them that they will win against Gucci because I think their drafts are mm, their drafts are really interesting, and I played with Karma before. I know that it's really hard to play against the drafts that they make. I know their players, like perhaps I think he's D3 right now. He's in depths of hell, but like this guy is really cracked. He's really good around. He's really good at playing around his jungle and his lanes. While he's also a really good carry player. Their top laner Westman, also a solid player, really really good weak side, and like you have Toby, who I think Karma converted into like a I will play anything type guy. Like they're really surprising. The worst that can happen is after the win against Gucci, they might lose against Fenrir, and then later on meet let's say Valkyries, because I think they'll play either Valkyries or Berserkers, and then if it's Berserkers, I'm confident they will win. Against Valkyries, it could be a difficult outcome. I trust them to still win it though, so I'll put them contenders even and make a lower bracket run and up to, until like top 5 and lose in like lower finals maybe, something like that, or like at the very very late lower bracket run with still having high hopes for them to win the games in there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid analysis of this team. A team that, of course, I can't even say their name of, so trust you guys more on this one. Anybody disagree with lower bracket run?
No, I think it's a good
No,
one.
I think it's at least dark horse, if not contenders. That's what I was trying to make. Because even if they make it a run through lower bracket, if they lose to like Fenrir, right? Because they'll meet Fenrir on their way if they
Yeah.
win. Then I think like in lower bracket there aren't. I'm looking at the teams and I don't see who are they going to lose against from the teams they're going to meet. And
I
like
could.
even though it's through the lower bracket, like I trust them to go to the very end of it and still have a really really high chance of winning there, and just losing to the in like the lower bracket finals, let's say, or in like the how do they call it, the other finals, like the uh once you win the lower bracket finals, you go to the other finals before grand finals, and then they can lose. Like I think they could make top 3 here, so I'd put them at least dark horse or contenders. It's most likely contenders, but like sorry, dark horse than contenders, but like I want them to be rated in one of those tiers. I don't know if you guys agree.
I think we can put them contenders. I think that's good.
Honestly, the only reason I want dark horse is because we have a really nice like lineup. That's it. That's the only reason. But guys, honestly, do we think contenders are dark horse? Two people saying contenders. Anyone disagree with this, or do we want to put them in dark horse?
I think we have 3 teams in Dark Horse already, and I think the tier is not designed to have 3 tiers, like 3 teams in it. So we're gonna have to move people up to contenders or lower bracket run anyway.
We can
Yep.
put
I think
them
this team,
contenders initially and then see.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think this team could definitely go
I
into contenders.
I think there should only be 2 dark horses personally. So we'll put them up in towards the contenders tier. And I've been looking this whole time for the name of this team because honestly,
Hedgehog.
I'm a big logo guy. THG,
Team Hedgehog.
Team Hedgehog. I love
Yeah.
it. I absolutely love it. Is this Sonic the Hedgehog Metal Edition? I don't know. Something about it, the colors, the everything. Give me the 4th movie, you know. This feels like it could be in it.
Yeah. This team is actually looking really, really good. Their players are very, very skilled. I think their mid laner is really good. And I know their ADC. I've played with him in a team. Their ADC is really good mechanically, and he knows a lot about the game too. So he's a really good player. The others I don't know too much about. I played against Kenju when he was playing top lane in Steamy Boys, I think, and he's playing jungle, I think, in Hedgehog, Team Hedgehog. So I mean, we'll have to see. I don't know much about his jungle performances. I know his top lane wasn't the greatest, but his jungle is probably better, right? Because it's his main role. So
Yeah.
I would definitely put them. I mean, they have to go lower bracket run at least because they're in lower bracket. But I would even consider putting them in contenders.
That's a big change going from lower bracket run to contenders.
I mean, they are already in the lower bracket run. In the lower bracket, right? So they start off with a disadvantage. They can only lose once, and then they're out. And we haven't seen them actually play. So I think this team can like swing from being like really good to being a bit.
I think with them having 1 shot left, I personally don't think that they deserve to be in contenders if you are in the lower bracket run, unless anyone else disagrees.
I mean, I would put them in the lower bracket run. I would put Steamy Boys like around the same uh, tier. I think the previous iteration of the team, let's call it, because like 3 players from Stevie Boys are being transferred to this team, and I think the 2 that are left out, like one of them, the jungler, I thought was pretty good. He's not playing anymore, I guess. I do not feel confident about the new players either. Like I don't think they're that much of an upgrade. I think one of them is like the top laner isn't as impressive to me. I think they could make it like further into lower bracket, but I don't see them winning against likes of mCon, Mazepa, or like Valkyries there later on.
I think their top laner is actually probably the most interesting thing because he's looking like a carry player, but he in terms of rank he's D4, so he's on the lower side. So I'm curious to see how that would look like in draft.
It would be.
Because will they like prioritize playing for him then and getting him on his main champs, or would they just put him on a tank on a like champion he doesn't really play and just put him weak side?
Yeah, it's a big question. So, final answer, guys. Where we putting them? Where we feeling?
I think we can put them lower bracket, around the same tier as Lynx Royal then.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you're saying. This team, we might have to have a conversation about Dark Horse. They have plenty of opportunities to upset teams. But this is so far, I think, a pretty solid tier list in my eyes. The teams that we have a lot of confidence in already in contenders, 2 teams. For me, I don't think are going to be taken out of the grand finals. But is there any teams anyone wants to have a case about going higher?
I think we need to look at one of the 3 teams in Dark Horse, and we have to put them into contenders, I would say.
I would agree there. Anybody got any of these 3 teams they really think is going up towards the top?
I mean, I don't think I would put any of those 3 in contenders. I think they're really good at the dark horse tier because like I don't think they have the grounds right now to make the like finals or upper bracket finals, right? I don't think they have got it right now. But like as Aurelian said, they underperformed in Rise, right? But they he's saying like they're better. I trust that the players are good enough to like improve as well. So like they could make it, but I don't want to say like they're contenders right now. So I think Dark Horse fits them. Same with Valkyries. You could say like, oh yeah, with the tenders they could be definitely a contender, right? But like
Yeah.
we didn't see them play yet, so I wouldn't call them that just yet. Same with Hyperzina. They just got a new player, new mid lane. It's an obvious upgrade because the previous one was like a Vladimir OTP, and he was Emerald as well. But like I wouldn't put any of those 3 in contenders because like for any of them you can make an argument to just why would it not work, and I don't want to just put one team higher just because like the dark horse tier has to be 2 teams. I would rather leave it 3-3
Well, are
than
all
make
3
it.
of them better than the lower bracket run teams?
Yeah, I want to say maybe we can put Lynx Royal into contenders then. If we don't want any of the Dark Horse teams in contenders, we can maybe look to put the best team of the lower bracket run into
The
contenders.
most important thing is would Lynx Royal beat all 3 of those teams in your head?
To
I'm not
me
sure.
it's 50-50, but like
I would swap Mazeppa and Hedgehog. That's my take. I think Mazeppa is like I get the hype around them, but I feel now that lane swaps and all that other shenanigans is gone, I think someone even said like the individual players might struggle since you can't lane swap. You actually have to play lanes now, and you're gonna get skill checked. And
did they
I,
did they
I don't see
play
them
lane
winning.
swaps before?
I know they played a lot of like
They didn't really play lane swaps. Rather, they play with a APC. Their
Yeah, I
yeah
think they didn't.
ADC is just a really good APC player. He's insane at mages. So
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, like
they
I
didn't
don't
really
think
lane swap.
I don't think they didn't abuse. I think they didn't abuse like the lane swaps. I think they just play lane neutralizers. So I think the change is actually pretty good for them because now you can play lane neutralizer and won't allow the enemy counterpart to actually get ahead. Uh, I can agree with them being lower. I don't mind. It's just my hot take that they will actually do really good because of the unique drafting and unique gameplay, right? Like, I don't mind them being moved down if I have an argument for other team, but I do not think it's the Team Hedgehog. If it was up to me, I would leave the tier list as is. Like, I can say it just
Problem
right
is,
now.
the way you're talking about Marzipan is making me think that they're a dark horse, but we can't have four dark horses at this point. So for me, I'm actually really happy with the tier list. Like, even though we haven't really changed much around, I think this is a pretty solid look at least the dark horse upwards. I think maybe in lower bracket run or low expectations, you could swap a team or two around. The problem is, does anybody have a case on why maybe Diving Fighters could be better than Revel Lynx, or maybe any of the teams are stronger than where they are?
I agree
Mm,
with Shiy. I if that was like a bold take by me, just for looking at Hedgehog ranks, but I really like the tier list when I take like a longer look at it. I think it's very balanced, and it's like it's something like if you run the simulator for CWL 100 times, I think this would be the standings most of the time.
Yeah, it's pretty solid and standard because if we are happy with this tier list, we can actually start discussing about who we truly think is going to be winning the grand finals. Is it going to be Revel Lynx in our ideas, or is it going to be the Infernal Wolf side?
that far, I wouldn't go because it can backfire. But like, if it was with the how the teams looked at the end of Rise, then it's probably 5 games.
Do you think
Uh,
it's that
I wa-
close?
yeah, I think I wouldn't say in which way it goes, but like, you know, it's 5 games. What I was thinking about though is, as you mentioned, diving fighters. I was thinking of like the if we can move people around the lower bracket run because I assume, like left to right matters here because that's what I've been thinking when we were doing it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like if edge winders are actually better than the good chilling, or like if berserkers are actually worse than diving fighters and stuff like that. Maybe we can change something in there because I think personally, I think both good chilling and berserkers are higher than the edge winders in my head, and edge winders are better than fighters. So I don't know if you guys agree, but I would put diving
I
fighters
wouldn't
last
put.
and then move
I
around the
probably
rest.
wouldn't put berserkers over edgewinders
Yeah,
because
that's
I think
fair.
edgewinders, even though their 3-0 run was a bit fraudulent, I think it's still a 3-0 run, right? So you can't disrespect that too much.
Yeah, it's fair.
Do you think? Do you think we could do any swaps, like maybe the good Chi team for Edgewinders?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
can do that.
think Gucci above diving fighters even. I would put.
I
If
think we maybe put diving fighters on the bottom of the lower bracket run then.
that I agree with. That's what I had in my head, and then I wanted to move Gucci one place higher above Edgewinders, and then I think I can agree to that ranking in that tier.
Yeah, I think we should probably do that then. Put Diving
Uh,
Fighters.
I want to know what No Info and Chefing though first. If you guys have an opinion about that.
Info,
Going
what are you
from
thinking?
left to right. Yeah, I think like good chilling. Even though I talked a lot of crap about them, they still have really strong mid ADC, and like it's one of those things when you see like athletes. I'm like being the coach guy. I'm like, oh, I could do that, just shut down their mid and ADC. It's simple. But like in game, you're not gonna be able to maybe shut down the mid ADC. So I think good chilling for me might even be like next to Royal, even up like even before Hedgehog.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm happy to make that change if people want to.
I'm not sure because I think the mid laner for Team Hedgehog is also
we can
like
at
one of
least
the best
put
mid
them
laners.
Or
behind
then
Hedgehog. I
yeah,
think. and then move diving fight. I would move diving fighters like lower a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I think I'll trust berserkers to do better than them because I think they're fairly similar, except berserker has that one player that can make the difference, and diving fighters, I think they're solid. I think what I find difficult is I'm looking at their team and I really struggle to find the carry, like the hard carry that will get you the wins. That's my problem with them. I
They
think their
don't really
junglers. Yeah.
they don't really have a hard carry, but I think they play together quite well. Like they have when we played them as well, the team fight unit and basically how the players fill their roles, I think is going to play well into a lot of teams in the lower bracket because you basically need to be either better as a team or you need to have a like a star carry to actually beat them. I don't think they're very easy to beat for the weaker teams. Even for example Berserkers, I think this matchup is really close. I wouldn't pick one over the other because a Rubin, for example, stands out as a jungler, but diving fighters, even though they don't have one player that can hard carry a game, would still be really close with good chilling and Berserkers, I think.
Yeah, I can see that. Just my argument was like, I think Berserker also has like competent players. The thing is, uh, they are not like the firepower really. And in, I'm not saying that. I'm also saying diving fighters has really competent players, but I don't see the firepower. That was my argument why they would lose to Berserkers. But I'm happy with also them also being above them. Like
Do we think Edgewinders is where it's supposed to be?
I think
Lower, higher?
I think I would put
I,
them
I
above
think
the diving fighters.
I would put Edgewinders over Berserkers.
So, do we want to put Edgewinders above Diamond Fighters?
I think
can do that.
we can make that change and call it a day. I think that
I
would be a
I
really
would
good
agree
tier
because
list.
it's hard to do the lower expectation teams mostly because
Yeah.
we don't have that much information on them. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
the only real important part is of low expectations is just that excellency is on the top there because I do think they're the better team of all out of all of those.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think only the first two, like excellency in triple B being like the first two teams matters, and then the rest you can kind of juggle around in the tier. Like you
Mhm.
can say like the Observant Academy, right? Observer's Academy or whatever their name is right now, because I think they name changed or something.
Yeah.
Or like you can say like they are lower, you can say they're higher, but like in the end, like it won't really matter. But for the excellency and BBB, like them being top two is I think like important for the tier list here to like highlight that.
Can I ask something? Because I just remembered that Mazepa beat Steamy Boys at the start of Rise. So what I was wondering is the players that carried over from Steamy Boys to Hedgehog, I think it's two players. The other players, like as a team, did the team get an upgrade or is it the same or is it a downgrade? I don't.
Mm, the thing, I
Yes,
remember it was the first game of CWL. I was watching it. They Mazepa played with a substitute top laner who was joining the team as a substitute after a long break, and they still managed to win.
It was still
Uh,
a 2-0, right?
yeah, it was a convincing 2-0 with
Because
like
I
they play
remember
like
watching the
Galaxy the
games.
carry. Yeah.
I think the strongest members of Steamy Boys were their mid laner um, and kind of their like jungler. But I don't think they transferred over. I think their mid laner transferred over, right? So he's obviously strong. And the jungler, they replaced the jungler for their top laner who's no jungling. I think I'm not sure how he's gonna do, but I do know that the ADC that they got now is really good at the game, and the support looks very decent as well. So
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. So, looking at the tier list as we're coming to pretty much the close of our predictions for today. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Not
Okay, I
necessarily.
think I'm happy with what we have right now.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything you want to shout out, now's time. Otherwise, I will wrap us up and tell everybody here about how cool they are.
I wanna say like good luck to all of the teams in CWL. I know there's been like some, the feedback and the discussions have been a bit negative at times, yeah, even from myself, right? But I think when making this tier list, you realize like how nice it is to have like such an amateur league that is like so close, because people know each other quite well. Even people who like come for a split, they tend to stay. And I think the team levels are also really close. So it's just as someone who plays purely because of hobbies, because we have no ERLs pretty much here, it's really cool to have such a amateur league scene to play in. And I
Yeah.
think all of the teams do a really good job at it. There's no like random beefing and stuff. There's just banter and laughs and good gameplay.
I think if you disagree with the rank, then you should probably just prove us wrong and show up in Defy.
I did tell you my Twitter DMs are open, guys. If you think we're wrong, tell me and I'll politely say it to them so they don't have to deal with all the hate. But all jokes aside, absolutely massive thank you to Codcast behind the scenes, being able to do the production here, Aurelian, No Info, Shiy, and Steve for bountiful information. This would have been an absolute terrible show not having you guys here. So absolutely love to do this again for the next CWL. But guys, make sure to be there on the CWL channel. People like Logic, casters, producers, everyone behind the scenes put so much work into this. So make sure that you try and appreciate it as much as possible. So much work goes into this for not a lot of money. Now, Codcast, hopefully we can show them the playoff bracket so we can go in a little bit of detail for what they can expect on the CWL. Then after that, we'll give you a quick wrap up. See if we have production magic behind the scenes. We'll give him a second so far. But Reval Lynx versus Infernal Wolves is what we think is going to be the grand finals. If you're on a different team, you might expect something else. As behind the scenes, we get to see a bit of Bloons TD6. Absolutely love that game. So about to show it up on screen for you guys. There we go. Defy. A lot of different teams, a lot of different places for people to go. Fortunately for these teams, in the week one, we're going to be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different games for you guys to either watch in your own time, maybe see on the CWL channel. We'll try and get as many of them produced as possible. But as we finally get it up on screen in just a second, I want to say a massive thank you for watching. I hope that you guys did enjoy the Reval Lynx production here today. If you guys got any feedback, make sure to put in the Discord. Make sure to just kind of communicate more of the CWL so we can build a better community. But this is going to be it from us over here. So make sure to have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you.